Hey everybody, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Paul.
And welcome back to the Fan Voice. This is episode 38?
Yep, 38.
Wow, so we're getting up there.
We're moving.
This one is a little bit different. This is really kind of a subject that we've never really talked about before, because it's kind of a new thing.
Yeah.
That,
like, what would you even put this under? Like,
this is...
I guess gaming table...
It's tabletop. It's tabletop gaming. But it's weird. So we want to talk a little bit about TitansGrave. So, TitansGrave is a show, kind of came out of the mind of Will Wheaton. If you don't know who Will Wheaton is, he was in Stand By Me when he was a little kid, and then he was on Star Trek. And then he kind of fell out of the acting scene.
And now, like, he's kind of like the mascot for geeky stuff.
He basically is.
To the common people.
Basically. And that's what's great about it, is that he's really made a name for himself. I mean, he was on...
Yeah.
He played himself on
Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory, and he did a really good job at it. He wasn't super condescending about the whole thing.
No, he was just kind of a character that was there, and then, like, the main characters are just being their weird selves around him.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
And really, I mean, he does a really good job at it, and he has this show called Tabletop. And he plays tabletop games with celebrity guests, you know, whether they be internet celebrities or bigger celebrities, whatever, every week on a YouTube channel. So, which is actually Felicia's Day channel, Geek and Sundry. So,
now,
tabletop is...
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, tabletop is awesome. And they've done several different seasons, and it got to the point where they decided to do a Kickstarter for a new season of Tabletop, because they weren't going to mess with having to get sponsors and all that. So they were like, all right, well, we're going to do a Kickstarter. They do a Kickstarter. It's huge. It's absolutely huge, which is awesome, because that was a Kickstarter that I could get behind. I donated some significant money to that, because I get behind it a little bit more because it was already a product. Like, they'd already proven that they could do it. They did 3 seasons of it, and then they were like, we want to do a new season of it, but have it be bigger and better and not have to worry about getting sponsors. And everybody's like, okay, cool. And there was some cool stuff that you could get while doing it.
Now,
one of the things... Yeah. Sorry, I was just going to say...
Keep going, man.
One of the things, because I'm setting up for this, one of the stretch goals of that was an RPG show, where he would get a group of celebrities together and play through an RPG. It was just an idea. And he put it on there, and I didn't think he would... I don't think he knew that it was going to happen. I think he kind of thought, like, oh, I'll put that up there. We'll see if it happens. And it ended up happening, and that's what TitansGrave is.
Yeah.
But not only that, he decided, instead of just doing a regular RPG show, he would build a system and a world and a story, and then inhabit it with these 4 characters. And it would be a little more of a serious look into tabletop gaming, and... you know, it'd still be fun and goofy and whatever, but...
Is this also the first one with visuals?
Yes.
Ooh, alright.
So that was definitely part of it. When I first heard about this, I went, wow, that's really interesting, actually, because this could be something very new.
Yeah. Though, honestly, I think it's been something that's been on the mind of tabletop fans for a long time, since YouTube has really, like, been a standard for entertainment media and everything, you know?
Yeah, no, that's definitely true.
Will Wheaton is the first one taking on the helm of this. And I hope it becomes a trend, because TitansGrave was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, like, full animated, like, movie parts or anything. It was very detailed, like, drawn visuals.
Right.
Kind of thing, basically.
Basically, they got a bunch of artists to do basic art, and they animated little parts of it here and there.
Yeah.
So it was very much a case of less is more, and it works really well. Because, you know, as he's explaining something, there's just a piece of splash art on the screen, and there's a little bit of animation.
Yeah.
Things are moving just a little bit, but you can kind of feel like you're there, but there's not a lot of movement to distract you from his narration. And that's really important, actually, because there aren't characters, like, talking on screen.
Yeah.
So you can't really fully animate it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it's really Will Wheaton talking.
Yeah.
And then the characters talking. And then the characters are, occasionally one of the people on the show talk out of character. Mm-hmm. So you can't really just animate the whole thing. So it works really, really well.
Yeah.
Like, they definitely knew what they were doing, I feel like.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about who's actually on the show. Obviously, Will Wheaton is the game master for the whole thing. And then we have our 4 characters. So Alison Houslip plays Keelio, who's a half-dwarf, half-elf, I think. Yes, half-dwarf, half-elf. Mm-hmm. That comes in later, actually. Yuri Lowenthal plays Slethk, who is a half-orc, half-saurian. Saurians are a race
like kind of lizard
in this world. Yeah, kind of a lizard people. Ankia, Hank Green plays Ankia, who's a Saurian girl. And then Laura Bailey plays Lemley, who's the human girl. She's like the youngest of the group. I thought this was a really good group. Mm-hmm. There's some fucking fantastic moments.
Yeah,
really good moments. And you can tell kind of what each player is a little bit. And you definitely get, like, their personalities really started to come out by the end of the season.
Absolutely. And just, like, again, I feel like it's also kind of they really balanced well the humor and getting into it just the right amount, It's not, like, way too over the top or just way too making fun of it the whole time kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, no. There's a very good balance, and I don't know if that was something they talked about beforehand, but it's something that definitely comes out in the series because, yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, they'll be joking, they'll be hanging out, they'll be doing whatever, and then they're kind of in serious mode for a little bit, or they're kind of trying to run away. And it gets to a kind of a serious moment for a while.
Right.
And then somebody will crack a joke, and I mean, it just worked really well.
Yeah,
and I think what helps is that I think these people were relatively comfortable with each other. Like, they weren't super, like, I don't know any of these people. I don't know how much they know each other. Maybe, probably not a lot, actually. But it just works really well.
And you think they've been pretty familiar with the systems beforehand?
I think these people have definitely played D&D before.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how familiar with this specific system they are.
Uh-huh.
Like we mentioned before, Will Wheaton built a system, I'm pretty sure. Because I hadn't seen anything like this before.
Yeah.
I mean, there's similar concepts in a lot of other games.
But being in the dice rolling RPG genre, I feel like definitely puts you on a good plateau as a player,
Yeah.
If you're a GM going from different systems, I feel like it affects you a lot more. But as a player, you can just kind of get into the story and kind of ride along of like, okay, here's what you do kind of thing. Yeah. No, that's a really good point. I mean, they were very good players. I mean, depending on the dice roll. Of course.
Well,
you see, with any tabletop thing, you see Laura Bailey just like kick butt the whole time.
Oh my god, she rolled so well. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
I mean, it was kind of fitting too, because she was the up-in-your-face, kick-your-butt kind of character.
I mean, she totally was. But she did some ridiculous shit. Some really ridiculous shit. So it was definitely really interesting to see them kind of, like, especially out of combat, to see how they handled situations as, like, their characters, because I don't know why, but I mean, you'd always do that in D&D. Like, you're always like, what would my character do in this moment?
Or at least you should be,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's always hard to, like, stay in character all the time, or, like, kind of break the fourth wall. It's like, okay, there's probably the way I should be playing the game kind of, like, thought process,
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know what it is about this format, but it was just really interesting to see them get to play their characters. And there was also, the camera work is pretty good, because the camera work definitely has they have some really good one-on-one moments.
Absolutely.
And some really great shots, actually, where it's over Will Wheaton's shoulder. So, like, the shot on Yuri Lowenthal, who's in kind of the corner couch. He's right over his shoulder.
At Will
right,
Wheaton
it's him looking at Will Wheaton.
Moments
right,
stuff.
in the intense moments, like, between just with Slet's character, like, you can see it's, like, right over his shoulder. I thought that was actually really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And just looking at it, I never thought of that before, or I didn't think it would have that great of an effect at something like tabletop. Just a few extra angles
exactly.
to like get inside and like personal and everything.
Yeah, no,
it really made the difference.
It really does make a difference. Yeah, and that was so the production value wise, this show is really really well done.
Yeah,
from the art to the set. Actually, the set is really cool. They have a table and they have, they have everything like the map of Valkana layout and everything. Really really cool. So yeah, it's. I mean, this was just awesome. Production value wise, it was just amazing. So speaking of production values, the show. So it's kind of strange to me because I don't know how much of this is true, but in an RPG, your game master writes everything or does everything. I don't know how much Will Wheaton did. I mean, I know he did. He definitely made the story and kind of made up the world and everything, but I don't know if he had writers because it felt like sometimes that he did. Like, I don't know how much the production value leaked over into the story. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or, like, the system. Like, how much of it was him, and how much of it was, like, him saying, hey, help me write this. I'm not saying that it's bad that he did that or something. I'm curious to see if that...
Different parts felt different.
Yeah.
Certain incidences felt a little different
than
other parts.
I felt like it was.
Yeah.
I mean, there was... we'll get to it later, but episode 9 felt very different.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Right. That felt like that was
because that's the
written.
most story-driven one.
Right. That felt like that was written from someone else.
Yeah.
Who kind of... almost like it was written by someone who watched the first 8 episodes.
Okay.
I felt like.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't know. We'll talk a little bit about that episode later, I guess. But because I have a feeling that's very polarizing. The episode's pretty polarizing. In fact, I know it is. But let's just start. I guess let's just start at the beginning. So, what they did, and what I thought was great, is they did an episode 0, where they set up the world and the characters.
Right. And each of the players got to set up their own character and backstory, correct?
Yeah. And they all got to set up a secret.
Ooh. Oh yeah, that's right.
So they had a kind of a secret going on.
Which I think was great. Do you know how much further away that was before Will Wheaton set up like a lot of the story?
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't,
because I was just thinking about it, and if like integrating a lot of their secrets and stuff was like just a few days or like less than from like when the story begins, that's absolute amazing adaptation and integration through the story from Will Wheaton.
Yeah, definitely. The episode 0 was really good, and I'm glad that they did something like that. Will Wheaton just kind of sits down and explains the system, the characters, the world, and the story. Yeah. And I never felt like I didn't know what was going on. I knew exactly what was going on because he explains the backstory of the Saurian War, the Chaos Wars, who the Prophet is, and all this. And then we actually start into the actual story. Okay. So I thought that was great. Yeah. It was a great way to start it off. And it kind of just starts off really great. It starts off immediately what you think it's going to be, which is a couple friends playing D&D. They're goofing around and they're, telling stupid, like they're interacting with characters in hilarious ways. They're practicing, like, Kiliel's stealing shit from people at a bar, and it's stuff like that where you're just kind of getting each of their characters a little bit more. Yeah. And that kind of happens for the first couple episodes. And we get, some minor combat encounters here and there. and it's kind of starting to ramp up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that's also first couple episodes is where like the big inside joke of the series is, which is the five gold in the party.
5 gold in the party.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. 5 gold in the party. So yeah. Sorry, I gotta.
So when things first start getting serious, the earliest I can remember is when they find Sleth's brother. Is that when things like first start getting intense? You would say?
A little bit. Well, you know, they encounter the Hellion in the Beer Barons. So they meet the Beer Baron very early on, and that's where 5 gold in the party comes from.
Okay.
So yeah, they have to do something, and they say, if you give us 5 gold in the party, we'll do it. Yay! And it's 5 gold in the party the whole time. And so there's a little bit of, like, they encounter their first big creature that's, like, dark magic.
Okay.
Ancient creature sort of thing. And so there's a little bit of, like, what's going on? But yeah, I would say that's kind of where things got more serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, they head into the city, and then almost immediately they are found as terrorists, because actually where it kind of started to get serious is the part where they are branded terrorists. Do you remember that part?
Okay. It might have been like on the first episode I started on.
Okay. Yeah, they come into the city, and then there's this giant crash. And, like, something's happened, and they're trying to pull people out of the wreckage.
Mm-hmm.
And the cops are coming, so they run.
Okay.
And then, yeah, kind of branded terrorists.
Oh, wow.
So that's why they go underground, and then they find this community of weird people, and then the next thing you know, they're worshipping this weird creature.
Monster blind thing, which... Oh, that part was so intense.
That part was really intense.
Not only just, like, the whole brother twist, but, like, the entire sequence of escaping.
Right, it was really cool.
So high pressure for such a long time, which is
you had to roll. They had to roll to get away to stealth.
Yeah.
Better against this thing, because this thing is really tough.
Yeah.
Obviously. And then at some point they discover, because Sleth's big thing, one of his long-term goals, is to discover where his brother is.
Yeah.
And they discover his brother's body, and he's been killed by this creature.
Right.
So Sleth comes out like a fucking badass and destroys the thing.
And, oh my gosh, what is it? Yuri Lowenthal's just emotions towards that, and I think towards the other couple dramatic scenes through the series, I think impressed me more than any of the other characters.
You think so?
Yeah, just overall. There was that one, like, super, like, angry moment by Hank Green, which just like kind of spiked.
Right.
But I think
that was so great.
It was so real. It was so real. Oh my gosh. But overall is like a standard of like dramaticness and just seeming to care the most.
Yeah.
I think Yuri Lowenthal did the best. In my opinion.
Yeah, so I mean that's kind of where the show. I mean the show was always great, and it was great, the whole thing. But it's that introduced kind of a new thing where it was like, yeah, we're having fun. This is kind of like tabletop, but at the same time, it's also kind of not.
This is real
because
it gets real.
Like any good D&D or RPG campaign like this, any good tabletop campaign like this, we're going to get serious, and we are going to talk about characters.
Yeah, because eventually you need to get really engaged in the game, not just like goofing around.
And that's fun.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to see that they weren't just going to screw around the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they got a little more serious, and they took it seriously. Like, they didn't do... At the beginning parts of it getting kind of serious and people sharing secrets and stuff, they weren't serious, super over the top about it.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like little moments. Like one of my favorites later on is Lemley gets kind of her whole the clothes on her cybernetic side get torn off because Lemley is half. Well, people think that she has a cybernetic arm and leg, but actually she's basically half cyborg, and that's something she tries to actually hide
a
little bit more. And that gets torn off, so she kind of has her arm over it the whole time.
Yeah.
And the rest of the party's kind of like, what? What's going on? What's
going
on? And actually, I thought that payoff was really cool because it was just kind of a slowly like, okay, apparently everybody's okay with this. Okay, all right, cool. Then I'm going to be okay with it.
Yeah.
But I'm still not, like, super... yeah.
I mean, I guess I kind of get the self-conscious kind of part of it, but, like, I was just seeing that at first, and I'm like, I don't know if anyone's going to really care about that kind of thing, you know?
Well, and I think that part of what would have helped that a little bit more is telling the characters that that's a big deal in the world.
Yeah, kind of like introduce that into more of the beginning where, like, Sleth is kind of an outcast too because he's a half-breed, right? Where they, like, I think they needed to establish that more where, like, I don't know, the robot people are weird. Something more
and I think
detailed than that.
I think they did, but it was just like a one-off thing. If it kind of came up again and again before that actually fully happened, I think the payoff would have been a little better. But me personally, I like that payoff a lot, actually, because it makes sense. And I thought the way Laura Bailey played it is that Laura Bailey was not being serious. I mean, Lemley is the most out there ridiculous character. She's the
comedic relief of the group,
right? But she actually did a really, really good job.
Oh,
in
yeah.
scenes like that.
Out of all the other people, she broke character the least.
Right. No, seriously, she never broke character.
Yeah.
She was Lemley the whole time, which is really, really cool, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, that moments like that are happening all the time. You're kind of seeing these big character moments throughout the whole series. And then we see at some point that each of them, as they grab the staff, which they'll need the staff to get into. Basically, what they're trying to do, story-wise, they go into the city, they get branded as terrorists, they kill this creature. Then they meet Voss, who's this ancient elf who tells them the prophet's reawakening. You need to go kill the prophet. So take this staff. It's gonna give you, or go get this staff. Come back here, and then you're gonna go to the prophet because you need the staff to open the tomb, basically, of the prophet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they go, they get the staff, and then they fight through some really cool encounters. That's the other thing about this game. The creatures are very, very cool.
Yeah, both in artistic rendition and vivid description from Will Wheaton as well.
Yeah, like, that was the coolest part, is that the artist did a really good job with a lot of the creatures. And Will Wheaton's narration is really good.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
very, very good.
I think one thing that I was kind of, like, put off by is, like, from time to time, an artist rendition would come a little early before Will Wheaton described it.
Yeah.
So, basically what ends up happening is, like, you're like, oh, that's a weird creature, and then you hear Will Wheaton's awesome description, you're like, I see it. I already know what it looks like, kind of thing. Like, I think what would have helped with that is maybe keeping the creatures more in silhouette form until Will Wheaton describes it and slowly, like, fades off the shadow and, like, reveals it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I can totally see that.
Yeah, I think that would have helped a little bit with some of the narration reveals.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and actually, some of those creatures in where they land at this. It's kind of like this floating sky fortress where they're going to retrieve the staff, and there are some robot spiders in there.
Yeah,
and those were really cool. And, like, I don't know, everything I heard, because the coolest part about this world to me too. Kind of going off topic, but I kind of want to go here.
Yeah,
I want to talk about
absolutely.
this. One of the cool parts about this world to me is that it's magic and technology.
Yeah,
kind of come together.
Right.
So the Saurians, in fact, that's how they ruled, is they had dominion over technology. But now things have, after their rule and after the big war and everything, everybody's they're using the two in tandem, and that's a really cool concept that you don't really see a lot
or at least see done well.
Right, and I mean, you definitely hardly ever see science fiction and fantasy slammed together, and that's kind of what this is.
Absolutely.
And I really like the different races and how they play into that. Saurians are really smart. They're engineers. Elves are really magical, right? They're slinging spells the whole time.
Yeah.
It's very, very cool.
Yeah, and I mean, it totally shows between both the characters and the enemy encounters and the environments they're in. It's just going all over the place. It's like 1 minute we're in a sewer with some rats, and then a giant blind, like, weird albino creature in the tunnels, and then next thing you know, we're in a sky fortress with mechanical spiders and cyborgs.
Right.
And then we're in... who knows where with, like, demonic creatures and, like, tentacle monsters and stuff.
It was so cool.
Yeah. Like,
I just loved the enemies in this game are so freaking cool.
Yeah.
And, like, the worlds and locations they visit are awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, the fire-breathing panther with the feathers, too.
Oh, my gosh,
You encounter them in the house, and I'm just like, oh, my God. Like, these enemies are so cool.
And that was, like, kind of an optional decision, wasn't it?
I think
Running
it was.
in that direction.
I think it was.
Yeah. It's like, we could get bonus stuff, blah, 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 blah. Like, breaking out of character for a moment to, like, weigh in their options kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. You know, there's a lot of things to consider when you're making a tabletop game like this, and I think the amazing thing to me is that everything that was made for this, the system and the story and the creatures, are all really high quality and really interesting.
Yeah.
Like, it could be very easily you could be like, I don't know, we'll just skip on that. And they do occasionally do that.
The biggest thing probably is, like, here and there you could tell that certain parts were on rails.
Yeah. And I think, you know, that was one of the things that bothered me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It was definitely one of the things that it was like, all right, well, hey, listen, we have some story to get through, so just sit there.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, you know...
You gotta find a balance with that. You
know,
because
I think he did. Like, I definitely think he did, but that's my main problem.
There were one or two things which I think he definitely could have expanded on. And you gotta find a balance with it, you know, because, like, you could have players that are just, like, totally, like, trolling the whole time, and you have to put them on rails for, like...
Yeah.
Like in like a baby cart or something kind of thing to get anything progressing.
Right. Yeah.
But at the same time, a huge part of like tabletop, D20, D&D, is just the fun of adapting and improv as a GM kind of thing. That's like the big thrill of it. Yeah. So you should utilize that to as full as possible while still progressing at a good rate.
And that was my major problem with episode 9 too.
Yeah.
Is it was kind of like So we should just kind of catch. Basically, these are spoiler territories. Obviously,
we're kind of going through the whole thing here.
But whatever.
Yeah.
So they get the staff. They go back to Voss. Voss says you got to go to the tomb. So they go to the tomb. We're just running through this really quickly. They get inside the house of the engineer who like made the tomb, which is where the whole thing starts. To like the portal to the tomb. They meet Runcible, who's a great character. I thought he was fantastic.
Oh, he gave me some feels.
Yeah, he was great.
He was just basically like the messenger of the sad past of like the family and everything.
Basically. But that whole part is pretty great. That was another one of those moments where I'm like, okay, we're kind of on rails. Like they go downstairs, they go through the thing, they fight the thing. Now they're at the portal. I was kind of like, there's a whole house. Like, this house is huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
They explain it. They literally explore one bit of the gardens, and that's it. And I was kind of like, this could have been really cool to see more.
Even if you don't have enough to go in a completely different direction, you can find more little things, you know? Right.
And I mean... I think it was fine because obviously they were definitely on a timeline. 10 episodes.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
I was a little like, go upstairs, go do something, like, explore a little bit. And then that was where I kind of start to felt it a little bit more, was that, like, the kind of the house. Because he was like, oh, you want to go this way, or this way, in the garden. And I was like, okay, cool. And then the next thing I know, we're in the house, and there are no choices.
Yeah, like, Runcible kind of, like, locked him in. It's like, play my games.
Right,
Just play my games.
Yeah. But not all bad. And so, the next thing that happens is basically they get teleported. Part of the structure that was built for this tomb has been, like, caved in. They meet a really cool mermaid. They don't spend a lot of time with her, but she's kind of an interesting character. She's been in isolation so long. So that was also really cool. You see another cool NPC that I would like to actually see a return to at some point, because I think that'd be cool. And then they go through this crazy-ass tunnel that's surrounded by magma, and the force fields are breaking, and they have to, like, run through. Yeah, so that was crazy, and
then comes the ultimate character development climax of the season.
So, right as they get to the portal, the episode stops. So I'm thinking, okay, so the next 2 episodes are whatever comes next, the actual tomb, and then fighting the prophet.
Yeah.
So, what we actually got was an entire episode of... Basically, they go through, like with the staff, because they each grab onto the staff and they see a vision. And each of the vision has some pretty good character development. And it's like 5 minutes each for them.
But they're like heavily dreamscaped and abstract and...
Well, I'm talking about in the original.
Oh, the earlier
one. Right, the earlier one they grabbed onto the staff.
That was more character development.
Right, and they were great. They were great.
Yeah.
They each step through the portal, and it's literally like 15 minutes.
Yep.
For each of them, where it's just Will Wheaton talking to them about what they're seeing. And, okay, so I know this episode's going to be very polarizing. A lot of people are going to love it, and that's great. I'm very lukewarm about it, because...
Will Wheaton is putting himself on the spot more than ever, because this is the biggest story-heavy episode. And, like all of us, we can analyze and, like, critique the story parts, you know?
Yeah. And like I said, it's not bad. It's really not bad. But
it just gets a little too nuts.
It's too much, because...
You definitely can find some things to question.
Yeah, I mean, the very first one that they start out with, which is Ankia's, is super over the top. And super, like... As I'm listening to it, as I'm listening to him narrate it, I'm just kind of like... This is like somebody that was like, oh, dream sequence? I can do that. I'll just do some crazy-ass shit.
Just do as
And there's symbolism there. And I'm sitting there like, there's really not, though.
Yeah.
Literally just doing weird shit.
Yeah. Because, like, there's that one... The biggest part in that, I feel like, was like, oh, this person shoots this other person, but he turns into another person, and then turns into another person.
Right. And it literally happens 3 times.
I'm like, what?
And I'm like... Okay, so are we, like, done with it? I was already like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
This is, like, way over the top. And then it went on for 5 minutes after that.
Yeah.
And then you have 3 other characters you have to do.
Right.
Now, the other 3 characters are better. Admittedly. They're better. But there are still issues. Like, Keliel's isn't that cool. And, okay, so we should say... This isn't all Will Wheaton just telling you you're having a nightmarish vision. You have choices to make.
You give dire choices, but you don't see any indication of what the consequences of those choices are, really.
So, right. And I think it's or at least I hope, that that's all foreshadowing.
Yeah, for maybe season 2.
Right. If it's not... and it's supposed to be resolution, that went way over my head. I did not understand the significance of a lot of these choices. Now, I did understand some of them. Some of them I was like, oh, okay, that was cool.
But for their characters in the game, it didn't do anything for them, you know?
Right, like, it was, I think it was supposed to be a resolution, but I'm kind of like, are those choices going to matter later? Ankia chooses Lemley over Jeremy.
That's what is it? That's the one thing I'll give to Ankia is I feel like his were the hardest quote unquote right choices.
Right.
Because he chooses between his robot buddy or the other player.
Right.
But then before that, a child or his father kind of thing to get killed. But then the other ones are like, well, I guess what's the archer's name? Keliel. I guess that was kind of a hard choice. I'm not sure what. I can't remember what the significance of her choice was.
So obviously she has to choose between her adopted parents or her real dad. She chooses her real dad, which I think was great. I thought that was a good choice. Like that was an obvious choice, and that was a resolution of the character.
Yeah,
I think because she's like, no, I'm still going to keep searching for my real father.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she also had the one that was like, do you free your eyes or do you free your hands? She goes, well, I'll free my hands. And I'm like, what are the consequences of that? What's the point of that? Is that a resolution?
That's one I didn't expect because like just I don't know, thinking of body parts, I'd free my eyes.
Yeah, right. But I was like, what are there consequences to that? So that's why I think a lot of these choices.
Yeah, that was a big ball dropped because it's like, like he could have done something where like she gets cursed or something and
right.
Like,
no, so that's what I was expecting. Sleth has do you bow or do you stand? Mm-hmm. Lemley has, do you choose the door or do you choose the mirror girl? And those kind of things. And then, and Ankia has, Lemley or Jeremy. Mm-hmm. I thought those choices, there's a couple choices for each of them, but I thought one of each of those choices are going to be something that happens in the final battle.
Suddenly Jeremy falls apart or something like that.
You chose Lemley instead of Jeremy.
Yeah.
So now Jeremy is gone.
Yeah.
And you cannot use him for the final battle.
Mm-hmm.
Or Lemley gets, permanently harmed because the girl that she chooses explodes on her.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or, I don't even know, with Keliel loses her sight. I don't know, something, right? Like some kind of handicap. But none of that happened, so that's when I'm thinking, okay, that's got to be something later on, right? Like, they're setting up for something,
all we can do is hope at this point.
Right.
But there were no immediate consequences to those choices.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, some of the choices, like I said, are really cool, and they're resolutions for the characters. Mm-hmm. Lemley's whole thing, I thought her dream was the best put together.
Uh-huh.
Kind of aesthetically wise and symbolism wise.
But at the same time, that was the most on rails one when it came to the doors.
Right.
Which... Right. Oh, that was such a disappointment because like she's provided 3 doors to go through, like with different fonts of her name. She goes through 2 of them and literally nothing happens.
Right.
And she's in the same room again until she chooses the third door,
and the right door. Something
happens.
Right. Kind of thing. I was like, okay.
It's like big adaptation loss right there.
Yeah, like there was something, I don't know. Yeah, that was weird. So I was like, you're right. That's weird.
Yeah.
But there's a choice for each of them that supposed to give some sort of resolution. Mm-hmm. I think for Ankia, what it actually did was just show how Voss killed and manipulated his family. Uh-huh. That was the whole point of that.
Yeah.
And for Keliel, it shows that she's gonna go after her real dad. Right. And for Sleth, gets Bauer Neil. Or Bauer
being proud of
stand,
who he is.
Being proud of who he is,
not
worrying about it.
That was probably the easiest choice.
Right.
Baudu, a demon monster thing.
Right. But it was a great resolution for the character. Like, it was an obvious choice, but that was a really good resolution.
The imagery of that one, I think, is my favorite of him becoming like a circus freak kind of thing.
So yes, I totally agree with you, but I actually thought the imagery and the symbolism of Lemley's is really cool. Okay. Because Lemley's always locked. She's always in a room.
That's very true.
And almost felt like claustrophobic. Mm-hmm. Like, you're in the room, the portal's behind you, you have literally nowhere else to go. Uh-huh. And I felt like Lemley already felt like that, because we got a little bit of that from her character, where she's, like, doesn't want to show anything.
That's true.
So she's, it's goofy and she's, really fun.
Yeah.
But nobody really knows who she really is. She's kind of all inside.
Oh, okay.
And I thought that was really, really cool the way they did that. But then again, some of the choices I was like, what's the significance of that? Are we going to get a resolution? Like, she chooses the girl outside the mirror. But what is the significance between that and the house? Like, the house is already exploding.
It seemed like the same thing was going to happen either way.
Right? Honestly. I'm just kind of like... So then, I don't know. I was... Yeah. So...
It was interesting, I think, because, I mean, they were still hard choices because you put family members next to children. I think that's the two hardest choices to, choose from. So adding some difficulty pressure there. That's nice. And talking about difficulty pressure, I talked to you about this before, but, going back to Slesk's imagery, the part where his, guts are spilling out, kind of thing, and he has this demon in front of him to bow in front of him.
Right.
Like I was talking about with you before, how I wish there was some way to add some pain pressure to the situation.
Mm.
And I was thinking about that maybe Will Wheaton could have said you're rapidly losing health to kind of put him in a bit more of a panic to see Will bowing to him save me or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can kind of see that.
That might not have worked well, but I wish pain could be implemented somehow to these decisions. Because again, I said that's the most obvious decision not to bow, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can kind of see where you're coming from on that. I don't know. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
Because as a GM, you don't want to kill your player just because they won't. Right, and that's the problem is he's trying to do all this story stuff, and so it ends up being a 50-minute episode of him just being what do you choose? And we as the viewers are going, what? That's cool, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, his parents are back. Okay, that was really cool. What's happening again?
Yeah.
It was in between all this other stuff are really cool moments, but there's all this stuff, and I'm kind of I get that they're supposed to be nightmarish visions, but you can literally have these sequences, and I think it would still have just as much impact.
Oh yeah,
they just went on and on and on, and I was kind of like, cut it out?
Yeah, I mean, you get to the part where your guy turned into another guy, or going back to Lemley's dream in the beginning where
she's constantly back in the portal room.
She's in the portal room. Right. One person appears. You look around.
Yeah.
Two people appear, kind of thing. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Your family appears. There you go.
Right. Yeah. No, and that's what I'm saying. I don't know. It could have been pared down.
Mm-hmm.
I think. And I still would have I would have liked it a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
As it stood, it was 50 minutes of it. And by the end, I was like, I am thoroughly done. I do not want any more of that. It would have been really cool, but I'm done. I don't care. Can we move on?
Yeah.
And that's really unfortunate because I liked when they got super serious for a second and they find Slesk's brother or Lemley's clothes get torn.
Integrate it into the moment. Don't pause all the action.
They each grab the staff and they have a quick moment, 2-3 minutes. I don't know how long they are. It's probably 5 minutes each, where they grab the staff and see a vision, and everybody gets to hear the vision. Those are great. 15 minutes each is too much. It's just too much.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe if they were done better, and they were not as on rails, they were not as just. Will Wheaton's narration is great, too.
Mm-hmm.
That's the unfortunate thing, is there's nothing wrong with his narration. It's just that it just goes on and on.
Yeah.
And at some point, I don't care how good his narration is.
Right.
I don't want to sit there and just watch him talk about it over and over and over.
I think if the visions had more consequence and were a little more logical, and sometimes not as repetitive. I think it's still arguable that a whole episode of story between four people would be okay because what is it?
Okay.
We had that and then just the 5-minute part in that one episode. And that was all the big development through the whole thing, right?
Yeah. So here's what I'll say. I'm not just talking like I need some combat. That's not what I'm talking about. Like, you can have story or exploration or whatever else going on and have no combat in an entire episode. I'd be totally fine with that.
Just let the people act more. Is that what you're saying?
Just let the players play.
Yeah, okay.
Because not right now, in that entire episode, it's literally just Will Wheaton. And then the player's going, yeah, I'm going to do this. And then it's back to Will Wheaton. Right. And I'm sorry, that's not super interesting for 50 minutes.
That's true.
It's super interesting in 5-minute, 10-minute chunks. Yeah, absolutely it is. Yeah. Because I love his narration.
Right.
Not for that long.
And did you notice that there were a couple times where he actually spoke for the player's actions?
Yeah, I did notice
in the narration heavy parts. Yeah. I don't think you should ever do that.
Right.
For a character.
Yeah, and I mean, that was kind of weird. Like, I was like, I understand that it's a vision, and so, like, Lemley, her parents appear, and she's like, Lemley, and he's like, Lemley reaches out for them. It's like, well, I mean, I guess that's okay, because I guess it's like a nightmare, but that hasn't been a thing.
It's still your dream?
Right. It hasn't been a thing for the rest of the game. Like, you would be like, your parents appear here, what do you do? But no, instead you were like, excuse me, I have an entire thing of notes to get through, so I'm just going to read off of this. Right. I'm like, I don't want that.
I think there were 1 or 2 times maybe that happened.
Yeah.
Through other parts, but yeah, kind of in that episode, there were some things.
Anyway, that was episode 9. We're obviously mixed feelings about that hardcore. I don't want another one of those of just 50 minutes of that. I would like maybe a 50-minute character development episode if we can get the players more involved. I'd be totally down. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Apparently, a lot of people really liked it. I was not a fan. I don't really want to see another one. I have to be perfectly honest with you. If I did, and I sensed that where it was going, I'd start skipping.
Oh, okay.
I really, really would.
I liked being told stories. I don't mind. I personally don't mind sitting and listening to stories. Just have it polished up a little more, and I'd be down with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just talk about the last episode, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So last episode was great.
We finally get to
the actual tune,
the boss of the series, Prophet Dewan, which is like kind of another source birth of evil kind of scenario kind of thing. But her design was really interesting. I thought.
This was why I like this episode so much, because it's everything I like about TitansGrave. They walk in and you hear Will Wheaton narrate what this demonic city looks like, where the prophet lives.
Yeah.
And there are these giant statues of horrifying creatures.
Yeah.
And he's explaining that whole thing, and they're trying to get down through it in character, and like that whole thing is happening. Then the Shadow comes out and starts bringing these statues alive.
Another fantastic enemy, not even getting to the boss yet.
Right. Yeah, and a great enemy. And he, the Shadow imprisons Sleth, and Sleth has to fight him alone. And there was a whole great mechanic where Sleth is locked in. He got like a damage bonus. We didn't even fully figure that out. Yeah. So I hope that comes back in later, but he got like a damage bonus. Like he rolled another dice every time they defeated a creature outside, because he's stuck in stone.
Yeah.
So he got a damage bonus every time that happened, and then when he finally killed the enemy he was fighting in his own little, like, world, sort of, that he's stuck in, he breaks out. And then they can go fight the prophet. That was really cool.
Yeah,
I was absolutely. Like, that was such an inventive idea. And then the Prophet Dewan is fantastic. She's a really cool character.
Yeah, I mean, she's basically the complete opposite of a normal villain in physicality, I feel like.
Yeah.
She's a, like, gangly old woman, essentially. A like, lizardy kind of race, but still, like, the complete opposite in physical features, which I think is great.
Yeah. And the descriptions and, of course, Will Wheaton's narration is really good.
Yeah,
again.
Her dialogue
was really cool. Yeah. It was like she was just a total asshole.
Yeah, in the most gentle way.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah, I thought that there was another great moment where they see, visions of who they've been searching for this whole time.
Yeah.
And then the last person, and of course these visions are like embracing them and being like, "Oh, it's okay, like you're gonna be fine." And the last person's Keelio, who literally stabs her father.
And the organization of that was great. How like the 3 others submit.
Right, and then it's her that's like, "Oh, fuck that." Yeah, it was really cool. That was really and that's the kind of story stuff I really like because it came up naturally. It was like he set out this situation, and they came up, and they're all like hugging them, and Keelio's like, "My father would never say to submit," and then she's like, "I'm gonna fucking stab him," and Will's like, "Go for it." Yeah. And then that breaks open the whole fight. That's the coolest thing. Like, I want more of that. That was so awesome.
And eventually, there's this huge, crazy battle between, like, her and the Prophet. And, okay, her attacks are nuts. One being controlling Lenly.
That was awesome.
Which was another, like, kind of perfect moment. Because, like we said in the beginning, she was always the character who kicked the most ass.
Yeah.
And got the luckiest rolls all the time. And finally, that's being used against them.
Yeah.
And Ankia got hit hard.
Yeah, I think she went down to like 10 or 9 or something. Yeah. It was very, very close. If she got hit again, she was dead.
Which what is it? But then she kind of filled up on potions pretty quickly, and I wanted to ask you, did you ever think there was a possibility of these people dying?
So that's my one thing about this final battle is I was like, oh, that was kind of easy. Like, now, I wasn't playing it, and it was obvious to them that they were like, oh my god, she does a shitload of damage, and she has really good attacks. But to me, kind of as a viewer, I was just kind of like, you got this. And maybe that's just me thinking there was plot armor.
No, I mean, only Ankia got kind of low, and then healed up right away.
Right, yeah. You know? Yeah. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, That's another thing I guess you kind of just have to put out of your mind is, like, these are, like, hired people, they're not going to get, like, killed off.
Yeah, I don't think so. Well, and if they did, I think they could definitely be resurrected. I can't really see a moment where Will Wheaton would be like, okay, you're not going to die because, if you died, the story would be over. He's like, yeah, you're going to die in this moment. And in an hour, we'll get to you again, and we'll resurrect you or whatever. I can see him doing that more.
Yeah,
but I don't think that was going to happen in the first season. No, I just really didn't think that was
going
to happen.
I didn't know there was going to be a second season, so I was thinking maybe there'd be a possibility.
Right.
In this last episode.
I was thinking that until the last couple episodes, and I realized, I heard that there was
time.
Right, and then I also heard a rumor that there was going to be a second season. Like it had already been confirmed and everything. So. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Kind of what's going to happen. But yeah, I think it would have been really cool if it was a one-off and they all died and killed the Prophet. But I was going to say, if that had happened and if it was just one season, I kind of would have been disappointed because this final battle isn't like epic level. Like, we're not to the point yet where they're like true heroes.
That's true.
We're not there. Like, they're still kind of a band of misfits and they're still making mistakes and they still don't have really cool attacks. Like, Sleth's only attack is the lightning bolt. Yeah. Ankia's only thing is a shotgun and a blaster. Like, we're not to the point yet where they're ultimate heroes.
That's very true, which is why I'm so glad the Prophet actually didn't die.
So that was the best part to me of this episode, is it was like, wow, they just wrecked her. I guess that's it. And then Will Wheaton's like, no, it's not. Because you've been duped. Spoiler alert, by the way. You've been duped because Voss sent you on this whole fucking crazy goose chase. You kill the Prophet, and the Prophet goes, if I'm killed, I'm just reborn.
Yeah.
And then she leaves. And basically you're fucked. Because now I'm guessing you've released dark magic into the world, and the Prophet is somewhere out there now.
Yeah.
Waiting to be reborn.
Right.
Shit. Shit's getting real, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That was so interesting to me because I was like, because as we're getting to the final thing, and we episode 9 is this giant story episode with no combat, nothing, and then we get to episode 10 and we're fighting monsters haphazardly, and they're like almost dying from those. That was the one that I thought somebody might die.
Yeah.
It was in where they were fighting the monsters right outside the tomb.
Where Celeste got turned to stone.
Right, yeah, I honestly thought somebody might die.
Screwed.
But when they didn't, and they were walking into the tomb, I was like, wow, we really haven't done much. Like, yeah, they've definitely fought. And they fought bosses, and they've done some cool stuff, but like, nobody's in real danger. Not just nobody's in real danger, but nobody's to the point yet where I should think that they're killing the most dangerous being ever to exist in this world.
That's true.
Like, we're not there yet. They're only level 4, right? Like,
that's true, yeah.
That's cool. Like, none of them have
in a
these
place,
huge attacks.
Yeah.
Like,
in a place that's supposed to be, like, hell or whatever, you'd think a whole army would be after you, not, like, 7 enemies.
Right.
Yeah. Which is more than they fought ever before, but still.
Yeah.
Still.
So yeah, I liked the fact that season 1 was a setup for what is, I'm sure, going to be several seasons of, like, fuck, we gotta really, like, get better, we gotta really become heroes, and we really have to defeat the Prophet for real this time.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, lock her away again, I guess. You can't defeat her!
They'll find a way.
Unfair!
They'll find a way.
I'm sure it's through the power of friendship.
Friendship. That's what I was gonna say. What else?
Too much Yu-Gi-Oh!
Too
much Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
Yeah, TitansGrave was awesome. And I thought this is a really new thing for me. I know a lot of people...
For everyone.
Yeah, no, I think in this way it really is. I mean, there's been a lot of, like, live-streamed D&D campaigns and stuff.
Live stream, like, narration or podcast narration or something, but no visuals.
Right. And
no
I think
artistic visuals.
Right, and this is very heavily edited.
Yeah.
So, this is brand new to me, and I fucking love it, and I want to see way more of this.
Me too. That's what I'm most excited for, because I think TitansGrave has opened up a gate to a whole new, like, evolution of entertainment within the tabletop genre, you know, and I'm hoping to see a lot more too. Like, I would like to see some stuff animated just to see how it goes, like fully animated.
I think
I would be even, like, interested in, like, maybe some lesser known people doing, like, a Game Grumps animated style of animation for a smaller campaign.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, you know, if they had done this, and this was something that I was thinking about, actually, you know, they have 2 voice actors in this cast. And I think they were the first 2 I heard about, and I went, are they doing all voice actors? So that if at some point in the future, or maybe even in the show, when it's animated, they can voice their characters? Like, do an animated show? And I was like, that would be fucking cool.
Yeah.
It ended up happening that was not what's happening at all, but it's still kind of a possibility.
Absolutely.
And it would be really cool to have, like, a quick little, like, 5-minute thing. It's like, I just can't...
Just redoing a scene or something like that. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's TitansGrave, and as you can see, we're both really excited. I'm sure a lot of people are. It was a really cool adventure.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and say, if you're like me, and you're constantly looking for something new on YouTube, because that's, like, the whole reason I'm on YouTube, is to see something, like, new and different.
That's our generation.
Right. Go check this out, because it's really different, and it's really awesome. Yeah. I mean, and it's a lot of fun, and the characters are great, and it's just not something I've seen before, and I'm really looking forward to season 2.
Yeah, me too.
If there is a Kickstarter for season 2, or if not, I don't know, we'll see, but I want more.
Yeah.
I want more.
Definitely.
So yeah, let us know what you guys think. If you watched it, or if you hadn't, and you're going to go watch it now, or whatever.
Tell us your opinions on episode 9. I'm sure you have plenty.
Yeah, seriously. If you've watched it and you have an episode you have an opinion on episode 9, tell us.
Yeah.
Because I would like to know. I would definitely like to know. Anyway, yeah, you can find us at facebook.com/thefanvoicepodcast.
youtube.com/thefanvoicepodcast.
google.com/+thefanvoicepodcast.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
sorry, guys.
Gotta remember that little plus. Twitter @fanvoicepodcast.
Our email fan@thefanvoice.com.
And our website, thefanvoice.com, where you can find awesome news, reviews, articles, and downloads of podcasts and really cool things like that.
Yeah. All right, so tell us what you guys think about TitansGrave, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.